Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like Michael Gersh, just isn't really helpful anymore. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined by my co-host, some workout.
What's up, Nate H?
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. All right, Hambone, we can rest easy. I can rest easy. Spooky season is over. The chills, even though it's getting chilly outside, the chills that have been rattling my bones for a month now have subsided. We're
Bones?
bones. Still got to do that. But I'm feeling at ease. We're heading into, here in the States into Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And I guess I gotta know, how was your full-size candy bar gambit? Were you able to fatten the neighborhood children?
No. Mary was sick, so we decided not to hand out candy because we thought that might be irresponsible. So didn't happen. We turned all of our lights off and we started watching Apple TV's Severance.
So here's what I think happened. Mary walks in, sneezes. Maybe you had ground some pepper over her nose without her knowing.
Right. I get. Yeah, you're a gambit to keep the candy. I didn't even buy the candy, Nate. We didn't even have candy in the house.
Wow.
That's how we just got stopped in our tracks.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
What am I lying about? What am I lying about?
It's classic Hambone hating on holidays. It's a Triple H Hambone hating holidays.
I went out on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you dress as something?
I did not dress as anything, but I did go to that concert that I've talked about several times. So I was doing Halloween-like activities.
Okay. Well,
but I haven't had a single piece of Halloween candy. My life has been really bad.
That's disappointing. On my desk, look at this. I got a little Reese's.
Wow.
I got another little Reese's. It's mostly
the same one. That was the same one.
Look, I'm holding.
Oh, okay.
I'm holding two up to the camera now. Oh, here's two more. Oh, I found two more.
This is a gag for no one.
We've got. There's some YouTube subscribers. They're watching. They're laughing.
Okay.
Little baby Smarties.
Don't love a Smartie.
Oh, I love a Smartie. One of my favorite candies, which I know makes me like an 80-year-old man, but yeah, I love Smarties.
It's chalk.
But it's like tasty chalk. You know what I mean?
That's not good.
I love them. I truly love Smarties. I've bought from the internet a 5-pound bag of Smarties, and I'm just having a good time.
Wow. That's amazing.
Did you watch the last World Series game?
I sure did.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit more about the World
suffering,
Series later, but
misery.
Yikes. Yeah. Man. Ugh. Great series.
Good series. Good series. Very good series.
What a disappointing outcome. I did see an interesting take, which I think is not like this argument needed additional takes on it, but remember the golden bat idea that was floated a year or so ago? The idea that every team would have once per game they could sub in their best hitter at any out of order. It doesn't they just get to bat instead of some other guy. It's one of the things Manfred and co had floated as ways to make the game more exciting. It was pretty roundly, made fun of, and I don't think has real traction, though you never know. But an argument for why that would be even worse is the Miguel Rojas home run. That is now at least in Dodgers lore, I'm sure instant hero status.
I think especially in a game 7, that hitter the cold streak that he was on, his age, the quality of pitching he was facing, leverage, everything. That was like the least likely thing to happen in that moment. And of course, you know, he gets a frickin' meatball, you know, crappy breaking ball that kind of floats through the middle. And it's a liner too. It wasn't like a wall scraper. It was like high exit velo jack. It was a real deal homer. Yeah.
Yeah. Dead center of the barrel. I mean, just perfect home run. Absolutely insane. I at that point had, you know, I've been rooting for the Blue Jays for a while. They, you know, go Birds. They were the official team of the podcast in the world or in the playoffs this year. And what a run. And I found myself, man, I haven't felt this way about a baseball game since 2022, you know? It made me miss.
You were emotionally invested.
Yeah, and like I get it. I get into any game I watch. I want to watch a team. You know, I watch a lot of baseball that isn't even the Cardinals, and I can get into it and feel invested, but not like this. And that that home run,
it doesn't like affect you how you're feeling.
Yeah. But that home run of like legitimately sad, you know.
Yeah.
And then like they had so many opportunities. I mean, I know I'm replaying history from 4 days ago at this point. But
I think the most heartbreaking thing from where I was sitting was that ball hit by Addison Barger in Game 6 that got wedged into the wall.
Yeah.
You talk about probability, and, you know, he hits that ball 1,000 times, and maybe once it gets trapped like it did, which resulted in that run not scoring, which resulted in that game ending the way that it did in Game 6, which obviously led to Game 7.
Cursed.
Just there's very like those types of things that will just never, they would just never happen again. I mean, if you played that over and over again, those things wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Unbelievably frustrating and gut wrenching.
Yeah, Barger, like I think he was gonna get World Series MVP, especially if he had maybe connected on one of those many opportunities to win the game in Game 7 at home. But even without, he hit like 500 on the series, on the series, and just looks like a star, which is exciting for the Blue Jays. And the good news for the Blue Jays is most of that team is back.
Tool shed of a guy. Yeah, absolutely.
I saw one, I forget which pundit it was, but I thought it was a good take. They're like, this is a $1 billion industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry. Can we make our stadiums not where the ball can get stuck? You know, like why? Yeah. I understand. Like,
but again, that probably was the only time that happened all season. Yeah. I would, because you know they just redid that stadium. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
Post redo. I don't remember it ever happening. I'm not watching every Blue Jays game, but I understand that argument. But I also like
you can't really predict where a ball is and how exactly is it going to get stuck somewhere. Remember a few years ago when the ball got stuck to Yachty's chest plate?
Yeah, that definitely wasn't like spider tack or stickum or anything like that.
Do you think it was
just a weird thing?
I don't think it was.
I watched that replay many times. That ball defied the laws of physics.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying 100%, but I'm definitely saying that how does a round ball wedge to a flat surface?
Yeah. Well, didn't it get caught up under something a little bit? But I know my thought is like,
sir, it did not.
I don't know how.
It just caught it was just in the middle of his belly.
Yachty, no, he would never do anything to get a competitive edge. Come on.
Oh, I don't think it was Yachty. I think it was, I don't remember who was pitching at that point, but I feel like that pitcher might have been using a little bit of, you know.
But that implies, because this was my argument against it. So if it's on the ball going in, and for it to stick at such a, I know this is an argument from years ago, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's going in fast. For it to stick to his chest plate like that, off of that speed, it would have had to have been like a thick goo on the ball. That is like,
I'm just saying, I've watched a lot of baseball over my 30 plus years. There's been, I feel like I would have seen another replay of that ever happen. Pitcher or catchers block pitches in the dirt.
Yeah.
All of the time. It just seems.
I know.
And I guess balls are doctored all of the time too. So maybe it was just a Maybe I just talked myself out of my own argument. I don't know. It's bizarre.
Yeah. But yeah, crazy outcome. And I mean, I'm not even someone who hates the Dodgers in the way that many do. My argument is, don't be mad at the Dodgers, be mad at every other team for not carrying and spending like they do. But
yeah, the Dodgers aren't ruining baseball. Your team's owner is ruining baseball, Mr. DeWitt.
Yeah,
and actually DeWitt's not even he's not even in the ruining. He's just obnoxious.
Yeah.
There's the Bob Nuttings of the world and John Fishers of the world are ruining baseball.
Yeah, it, being fair to the Cardinals and the DeWitts, I think they're in the top half of ownership as far as carrying and spending and things like that, which is good. But I think you can be both that and also have significant room for improvement in that regard. Yeah. It could be way worse.
What's funny with the DeWitts, if they just didn't speak publicly, I would probably think a lot more highly of them. But they also need to speak publicly because they're owning, an institution in the city of St. Louis.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Cardinals. The offseason is now technically began, although we're going to break down the various important dates for everyone to know here later. But we are starting to get some more and more news as Chaim Bloom crafts his what the new organization is going to look like now that he's fully in control. In the last week, officially, John Mozeliak lost his job. He retired. His contract ended on October 31st. It'll be interesting to see what he does next, if anything. If I were him, I'd just fucking be a fan. But these guys always just end up.
No, I thought he was going into the business wing of the DeWitt Empire.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He's awarded, 25 Arby's, and then a seat on the board or something like that.
He's gonna be eating golden beef and cheddars here for the.
I was trying to think of something of he's retiring with roast beef handcuffs or something like that, but yeah, that's good too.
A golden roast beef parachute.
There we go.
Yeah. Dangerous.
It's lunchtime over here. I could go for that.
Ben's falling from the plane, pulls his chute, and oh no, that was my parachute.
That's good. Suicide by roast beef.
By having eaten your own roast beef parachute.
Man.
Yeah.
That's rough.
That is rough. At least you're full. Before we get into the league, to the coaching hirings and things like that, we did get one bit of very exciting Cardinal news.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think this was a surprise to anyone. He seemingly was the front runner across the board, but it's still nice when it happens. No surprises, no upsets. Masyn Winn has won the 2025 Gold Glove Award for the NL shortstop. Pretty incredible. Deserved, obviously. And I think we all believe there will be many more to come.
Yeah. I think it seemed obvious. He's deserving. It's not even like there was really that much of an argument to make. Any number you looked at, he passes the eye test, all of those things. And, 2 months ago or however long ago, about 2.5 months ago, we were saying, why is Masyn Winn still playing baseball? He's clearly compromised health-wise. Why is he still out there? Why is he running out there every day? And we thought, well, the only thing that really makes sense is he is trying to accrue as much time to make him winning the Gold Glove make as much sense as possible. He played 129 games over the season. And ended up being the best shortstop in the National League, I think, pretty convincingly, and won the Gold Glove, which is great. That is, in a season that went this way, your young, cornerstone shortstop getting a nice individual award is, I think, worth a damn.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good achievement for him. Validates what we all know about him and what we can see and what you can understand through the data. It's a nice capstone and a mark in the growth of him and why we all believe they should extend Masyn Winn.
I mean, as soon as possible, it just needs to happen. One of these or multiple of these young men need to be extended like maybe before January would be great. Get it out of the way, my guys.
Yeah, I think that is, there's not much to say on it now, but that will be an interesting story to follow is what is Chaim Bloom's methodology and thought process on extensions. I think
it seems very hard to replace what Masyn Winn has already done in his young career anywhere. Like how you can't find this on the free agency. This does not exist in your minor league system right now. It just make it happen. Extend the man.
Yeah.
Keep him.
Yeah. And I think the counter argument to this would be that Masyn Winn has yet to really consistently prove that he is going to be a value offensively. I've been beating the drum about his projectability, why we shouldn't worry about that. And he will become a good hitter down the line. But if you want to take like a pessimist's point of view to the whole thing, he hasn't really done it at the major league level yet. I don't think that is worth not extending him though. And I would throw out that despite having a 91 WRC plus, about 9% below league average in 2025, he still put up 3.5 F4. So imagine if he just hits kind of like he did in 2024, basically hits like as a league average right below even would be fine. He's still a 3 to 4 win player, which on the open market, what is that? $30 million a year by current standards. He's an incredible
with him.
player.
Obviously, he's not hitting the free agent market right now. But if a 23-year-old shortstop like Masyn Winn hit the free agent market, he'd be making $500 million.
Yeah, and we also don't
because he's 23.
Right. We also don't know, and this is always the factor that we have to consider. But it's impossible to know. Is what does he personally want? Like he's saying all the right things as a Cardinal, as a Cardinal, and obviously has the relationship with Ozzie Smith and whatnot. But like he might have his agent whispering in his ear, and probably accurately so. Like we're not going to do an extension. Look at you. You're going to hit free agency and you're going to make a mega deal. Hopefully it'll be with the Cardinals, but like let's not tie ourselves up now.
Yeah, I do think there's also something really attractive. Like you said, the Ozzie Smith thing. The Cardinals are still a top tier franchise across the league, and it is the devil he knows. And I think that Masyn Winn kind of has the swagger and the way about him where I would not be surprised if he's attracted to the idea of being the face of the turning around of this legendary franchise, and he would be the perfect guy to do it. The Cardinals shouldn't really expect a discount or anything like that, so they should pay the man whatever it's going to take and to make him not hit free agency. But I cannot think of a more perfect player to center your rebuild turnaround, the time to lead the NL Central again than around Masyn Winn.
Yeah.
So
3.5.
Yeah, I get that, and probably
in a down
he
year.
probably makes X percentage more by going to free agency just by the nature of going to free agency. But hopefully the Cardinals can make enough of a financial commitment to him that we're talking about, relative pennies rather than what was it reported with Tarek Skubal and the Tigers that they offered him 4 years, $80 million or something like that?
Yeah, there's still...
Hopefully we don't have any stories like that.
I know. Well, and that was the big story. If we go all the way back to it was kind of similar with Pujols, right? Where but we'll never know. And I don't want to reopen that can of worms, but there is reporting that Detroit made a super low ball offer to Tarek Skubal. And I think when you do that, you're essentially signaling we're not going to pay you. So, be ready to be traded. Probably. This will be an interesting part of this offseason is what happens with Tarek Skubal, because if they're not going to extend him, there's a solid argument that the smart baseball decision is to trade him right now. And get a haul, even if you're planning on competing in 2026, which I'm sure they are, they should probably trade him, which would be disappointing.
Yep.
We'd all rather.
God, I hate that. I hate that is my least favorite part about our game that we love so much is that is a smart move.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying I disagree with you.
Right.
It's just
you can agree that it's the smart baseball move and hate that is the case, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm not saying that Masyn Winn is going to be Yadier Molina. I think that the odds of that happening are extremely low. But from a WAR perspective, he's had a better start. He's a similar type player, a glove first player who kind of adds more on the periphery than he does directly with the bat. But you and I both think he's going to grow into that.
Yeah.
Cardinals kept Yachty around for 20 years. Maybe they'll be motivated. DeWitt will be motivated to kind of hand the reins over to Mr. Winn.
Yeah. Yeah. We kind of said it already and said it 100 times, really. If you're looking at the Cardinal organization right now, that's the guy that if you're looking for that, there's really not any other option right now, unless you are already overhyped on JJ Weatherhold. But even that, it's a different profile. It's a different sort of thing. So you can't do much better than a young shortstop at his.
I will say, like, I'm not going to lie. There is a part of me that is really, I just can't stop thinking about it. But in like 2 years, all of the Cardinals spring training promos and stuff are going to be Weatherhold and Winn, yucking it up about turning double plays and so on and so forth. And like the odds of it happening, you never know with the prospect. Right. We'll see. He's a 23-year-old kid, and Masyn Winn is too. You never know. But God, I want that. I want that future. I want to be there, Nate.
I think it's going to be next spring. Hambone.
Could be.
Could be. He has done nothing but excel at every level, college all the way through to AAA. I imagine this offseason is going to be active, and I think that there's a very strong likelihood that the Cardinals enter spring training with a quote-unquote battle for a position, with JJ Weatherhold being one of those guys battling for it. And unless he fails, and probably fails quite miserably, or has to fail quite, not saying he will, but he would have to fail quite miserably, I suspect he'll be on the starting roster going into 2026.
Yeah. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Give us something to look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So back on the note about coaching staff changes and front office changes. Heim's been busy. Do you want to do you want to run us through some of these names and what they're doing?
Yeah, I'm just going to go through my whole blurb about all of this, and then we can pick and choose what we want to talk about. The Cardinals have made a couple additions in the front office. Joe Douglas has been brought aboard as the Director of Pro Acquisition, which is a very interesting role, and one that I don't believe, I'm sure the Bird Squad will correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe the Cardinals have ever had somebody in this role before. Douglas previously has spent the past 8 years in the Pirates organization. He will work under Assistant GM and Director of Scouting Randy Flores. Jacob Buffa will serve as the Senior Director of International Scouting. Buffa, who was with Houston for about 7 years, he's been the Senior Director of Player Development and Performance Science for the past 2 seasons. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
And then, well, I guess we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the fact that Michael Gersh, who Nate made a joke about earlier, is going to remain with the team in an advisory role. Bloom has said that he would like to hire a GM at some point, but is unsure whether that hire will take place this offseason. So a lot of even more new names. Mm-hmm. And we are kind of talking about this in the Bird Squad. It's like, are we making up roles? Are we catching up? Is this just how few people were actually running the St. Louis Cardinals and how many opportunities there actually are? Either way, I've said this over and over and over again. I think this is the best way to spend your money. Bring as many smart people from as many good organizations or smart organizations. I don't want to give the Pirates too much credit, but I think Ben Cherington is a smart person and his squad. But bring these guys in. They cost a fraction of what MLB players cost. You're getting all of this institutional knowledge from all these other organizations. And the fact that we're even focusing, we have a person whose entire job is director of pro acquisition. It seems like that should have been a job already.
Yeah. I'm like, I have my like optimist hat and my pessimist hat on this whole thing, and I generally am wearing the optimist hat a lot more. So I'll start with that and saying like, this is great. It's like this is what the organization obviously needed. It seems like Heim has. I don't know if this is just they're buying these people out or leveraging other relationships or how they're exactly getting all of these guys. Lumping in there the hitting and pitching and scouting directors that we've gotten over the last year from like the Mariners and Astros and whatnot. It certainly seems like they are building quite a strong analytics and development team that the Cardinals had at one point. We used to be like the center of the league as far as player development goes, and obviously are not anymore. And so if this is how modern teams are doing it, I'm super excited that the Cardinals are focusing on this, and I agree with you. It's such a good use of money, and I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'll say like we have to remember that these things take time. These guys can't just come in and like wave wands over our existing team and like, okay, they're all good now. A lot of this is about building the future of the organization and how we bring in players. But regardless, I think it's an unequivocally good thing, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, I can like as far as like how the Cardinals are scooping all these people up from other organizations, I imagine that it's very exciting to hear the DeWitts and Chaim Bloom talk about making a real substantial investment in the front office. And who wouldn't want to work if a company said, hey, we are doing everything we can to improve this department? Of course, people would want to go work there because they're throwing money at it. They're bringing these new ideas, these new people. Chaim Bloom obviously has a good representation as far as being a smart person in the league. Like, I bet you it is just the excitement of somebody, a organization expanding this part and the fresh new opportunity and being able to come in and make a name for yourself. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but that sounds attractive to me. I would take a job there.
Yeah, well, you can certainly see why someone like for the Pirates would want to go and be work for
oh my God.
Although to your point, like they're a good development team. They just are bad at everything else, but they certainly can identify and develop some players.
I think if Ben Sherrington was running any other team, him and his squad, or a part of any other team that was not touched by Bob Nutting, that they would probably be pretty successful.
Yeah. I think also, I think you're right. There's certainly some motivational elements to this whole thing. You want to be a part of bringing a team back, and why not do it with an incredibly storied team? And if you have any success in St. Louis, the fans are going to show up and you're going to be revered, right? So you have a baked in, like, if it goes well, this will go really well. I also bet if we looked at each of these guys and we looked at what their title was with the other team, it's probably like a title bump. Like that's how the whole industry works in these front offices. Is everyone's just you move organization. It's kind of just how jobs work, but especially in meritocracies like baseball and sports in general, you go from assistant here to director there, and then director there to head of to over and you just bounce and you bounce and you get the title bump with each team. So I bet it's a little bit of both. It's the motivation, and I'm sure the Cardinals are finding ways to promote these guys, and it's good for them too.
Is there a more fun sounding job than senior director of international scouting? I just imagine you're flying off to Japan, Korea, South America, and checking out baseball players. That sounds pretty great.
Looking at boys.
I also think what's really great is just like the fact that there is a focus on analytics, on the nerds poking at their computers, and then roles like focusing on pro acquisition and international scouting. Obviously, there are analytic arms to that, but the fact that they are focused on player evaluation specifically and scouting, I think is a good thing. You should be using both tools. Like the idea of only using analytics to scout has never really made sense to me. why wouldn't you use every tool at your disposal?
Yeah.
So
the best organizations are doing everything, right?
Right.
And our understanding is that we have not had enough people, or frankly, a motivation or willing to do everything. We're not. We've been unpacking that for a while now, but now it looks like we're getting the people and hopefully the motivation and the tools to tackle this at every level. So, I mean, I know it's been a bummer time to be a Cardinal fan for the last 3 years, but if sports is all about that's done, baby, it's the past. What's coming up? And there's no reason to not be excited about the Cardinals right now. I know 2026 is probably going to be a rough year, but and maybe not even rough, just it's not going to be a winning year. But every other needle is pointing up right now.
Hey, don't poke me with that needle. Sometimes you got to go deeper into the crevasse, Nate, to get out. Ultimately,
it's always darkest before dawn.
God, that's so true. Katie Woo reports.
Katie Woo
reports that assistant pitching coach Dean Kiekeifer and game planning coach Packy Elkins will be reassigned to strategist roles. She says that they intend to hire an assistant pitching coach and an assistant hitting coach later in the offseason. So it's kind of funny. I really thought that there would be more of a slashing and burning and cutting and bleeding and all that kind of to this, but it's really been more, okay, hey, Gersh, why don't you go in this advisory role? Hey, coaches, why don't you take a different role? It's not really not much brain drain is happening. It's more just addition. Hey, Dean Kiekeifer, we like what you're doing, but we don't want you on field or in the dugout. Let's have you focus on the thing that we think you're good at, and we'll bring more people from outside of the organization. Again, just not what I expected, but I think it's good. I think it probably makes the whole transition easier.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think it's a side effect of having Chaim Bloom around for a full year before these sorts of things. And I have no reason not to trust the decision making, so I'm assuming he's come in, and the read is that no one here is doing a bad job. There's just not enough of you, I think, is probably a fair assumption. I do wonder, let's say he just started on November 1st, coming in cold. Would he think, I don't have enough time to assess these guys? This team has been bad for 3 years. I'm just going to cut and start over, which is what a lot of new Pobos do. But given that year, he's able to assess everyone and figure out what to do with them. I don't know, but I certainly have some belief that if they weren't valuable, they wouldn't be here anymore. At least I like to think that he would still, because you worry maybe he's been here for a year, now he's all these relationships. He doesn't want to be the guy who cuts a bunch of people. But I don't think you get to that point with that sort of attitude. So I don't know.
Well, also I Mo's gone, so the head of the snake is gone. So I think it's going to change no matter what, even if you are only subtracting a few other people.
And just what a snake he was.
That's exactly what I meant by that. Just a bad guy.
Bow tie wearing, more. He's like,
say it, Nate.
He's a boa constrictor,
dude. That's the T-shirt. You can find those on our store at talkingaboutbirds.com.
Just John Mazalek's face.
Nope. No extra context.
It just says boa under it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's content.
Wow.
R.I.P. John Mazalek. Any other coaches or the sort of front office talk?
Sure, there's more to come, but that's all we got right now.
So also in the last week, MLB Trade Rumors put out their yearly article of top 50 trade candidates going into the offseason.
Top 40.
Top
dumbass.
40. Just like Billboard. Top 40 trade candidates. And just like last year, it's riddled with Cardinals. I think there were more Cardinals on it last year. If you remember, Ryan Helsley was maybe number one on it. He was high
up there. Yeah,
there were several guys in the top And there are many on it this year. No surprises, but I think it's worth to go through. So we just start from the top?
Yeah, so I think none of these will be surprising, but I think it's interesting to get context on how, MLB trade rumors and therefore other people across the league and the industry are thinking about these. But number 3 overall is your infielder/outfielder, Silver Slugger finalist, Brendan Donovan.
Yeah.
He's projected to get $5.4 million from arbitration, and he is controlled through 2027. We've talked about this a lot. I think this makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense that he's this high up on the list.
Yeah.
I think that the thing about Brendan Donovan is that he can damn near fit with any team.
Yeah.
Any team, he's a sort of shortstop. He is absolutely a second baseman and a third baseman and can play outfield and first base when he needs to. Any team can use that guy. He's proven to be a solid utility player. He's proven to be an on-base guy. Maybe there's more to tap into on the offensive side, but I think even if not, you have a 2.5, 3.5 win player who has positional flexibility, who's relatively cheap. Every team wants that.
Yeah.
It makes sense that he's number 3.
He's also a character guy. Like, everyone loves him. I think he would fit in personality-wise on any team. He complimented me on my hair, so I like him for that.
Such a dumbass.
Was it almost entirely covered by a beanie at the time? Yes, but I don't care. He said a nice thing to me.
You just got to butter you up a little bit, and then you can get whatever you want.
Yeah. I will give Brendan Donovan anything he wants.
Yeah, I bet.
So we did a whole bit on him last week on why we think they should trade him. I'm not surprised he's ranked here as the third best trade candidate or most valuable trade candidate. I just hope that if it happens, we are as equally excited by the return as we have been about watching Brendan Donovan play. I will be sad to not have him on the team, but this is kind of like the argument earlier in this episode. This is something where we can say this is the smart play is this, even if it's not our favorite thing, even if it's not something that we like.
Yeah. I think we talked about this. I think the Giants make a lot of sense for Brendan Donovan. They have some interesting young players that the Cardinals could scoop up. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, I think I'm at the point where I'm fully talked into that this is a good idea.
Yeah.
This probably needs to happen. If for some reason it doesn't happen this offseason, I think I'd be pretty confused, and I think that Chaim Bloom should have to answer some questions about that. It's just really hard for me to see his value go higher than it is right now because of the length of control that's in front of him.
Yeah.
Well, I think the league knows who he is.
That's a key part of this whole thing, right? If they had him still for 3 or 4 years, you could make a totally counter argument to he's a part of this rebuild. But as it stands, as we project 2027 to be a year of contention for the Cardinals, you find yourself in a really difficult spot there where just like last year, you're going to be going into a year hoping to compete, and a centerpiece of your team is entering free agency. And you just don't like to be in that spot.
No.
For a lot of reasons. And so his value is quite high right now. Like you said, he'd be good on any team. And it is one step in the direction of solving the logjam and finding a place for JJ Weatherhold. It almost immediately solves that problem.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the other player that is causing the logjam in a second, but let's talk about number 5 on their list, and that is Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
Obviously a starting pitcher, owed $40 million through 2026. And then his contract is a little bit complicated. There's some opt-outs. There's some club options. There's some other things going on there. But I think it's kind of the same story as Brendan Donovan. 25 teams maybe could use Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
You get him on a short contract. We've talked about it. He's a top 20 pitcher, maybe arguably better in MLB. He's older, but it's short. I don't know. This is the one that I have I have trouble with exactly, like trying to nail down what kind of value you can expect to get for a Sonny Gray. But I believe that will be much more than a salary dump. I'm not saying you're going to get a top 50 prospect or anything like that, but I think it's going to be more than a salary dump. I think teams are going to be excited to get him, and I would not be surprised if teams are in competition trying to acquire him, because he is all of those things. And my God, what does a competing team want more than a top starter on a short contract?
Yeah. This is, of all of these guys, this is the one that I'm most certain will happen. Just all of those variables are going to impact what the quality of return is. I am hopeful that the DeWitts recognize the opportunity they have here and the value return of spending money in order to increase the return, and how much that could potentially expedite the return to competitive, which will expedite the return to 45,000 fans in the ballpark every single day, which will get them back to rolling around in their Scrooge McDuck, giant rooms full of gold coins, So
you're making a lot of sense, Nate. You're making a lot of sense.
Making a lot of sense. This will make them a lot of dollars if they do it right.
Hey. I am walking here.
So yeah, but he will be traded. There's just I just cannot imagine that Chaim Bloom will let it go into 2026.
Yeah.
We said a lot of the same things about like Ryan Helsley for 2025 and those guys. But even then, the Cardinals still felt like they could maybe compete. They were acting like they were maybe going to try to compete. Chaim Bloom
Zalak was doing his high variability. Yeah. Let's try it. Run it back one more time.
Yeah. Chaim Bloom has already said when it comes to decision making, if there's a short-term value and a long-term value like proposal in front of us, we will be taking the long-term value every single time. And there is like no argument in long-term value for keeping Sonny Gray.
I'm very curious to see if Chaim Bloom cares about, or if this is directed by the DeWitts, if he cares about making trades within the National League Central.
Yeah.
It's not like Mo never did it, but I mean, I think, and I'm just making this number up, I feel like it was like 6 times over the past 20 years. It was a very small number. Curious thing, because you could see teams in the Central wanting Sonny Gray for a short-term contract. But I think Boston, Giants, Houston, Detroit, Mets, Texas would make a ton of sense.
They love getting old guys.
There's so many teams, and I think obviously Sonny Gray has to waive his no trade clause. I think probably all those teams he would waive it for.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona would even make sense for Sonny Gray.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide.
They're still pushing in.
Yeah. I think that there's one caveat I could see, and I think this is unlikely. But if Chaim Bloom and crew are not able to find a deal that they think is worth it, like everyone's lowballing them or trying to just do a salary dump, you could roll the dice and go for a deadline deal where the financial impact for the team would be lessened, and you really are adding a Sonny Gray for a playoff push, which is interesting. Well, I just hope we don't get to that point, because that is also a very risky thing. Likely the return is reduced.
Yeah. And the Cardinals, they've already talked about that they are more willing to throw in a little cash to get a deal done. I think there's no better way to do that than to try to buy a prospect or two, or just increase your return, even, to what degree, I don't know. But yeah, hopefully that happens.
Yeah. So then there's a big jump down to number 27, which is Jojo Romero, who's projected $4.4 million and is controlled through the end of this year. This is his last year on the team. I think we all know the value of Jojo Romero and why a team would like that. I think this just comes down to what is the market going to look like this offseason for left-handed setup guys. Usually a relatively valuable position. I imagine that they can find a deal if they really want one, but in the offseason, there's also a lot of teams that would rather roll the dice on signing a random 36-year-old lefty that's on the market than trade for 1 year of a guy. But he's certainly valuable, and if they can find the right place for him, I wouldn't be surprised if this happens.
For me, this deal should happen during the summer at some point. Relievers are always traded for, it feels like, a little bit more during the season than they are in the off season. Hold on to him. Maybe he's your closer to start the year just to make him look even more attractive, and flip this guy to a contender and try to extract as much as you can and let him go have a little playoff run. But yeah, I think it makes sense, and happy to see him this high on the list, especially for a reliever with 1 year control.
Yeah, and who we got for Edmundo Sosa, who is still out, like, credit to him. Like, I think I personally saw this as like, oh, we just traded a quad A player for a nice back end to the bullpen guy, and Edmundo Sosa still making it
all
work.
He does is go to the playoffs while the Cardinals are sitting on their hands. So
and he goes on these little heaters. Like, once a season, you go and you check in on Edmundo Sosa, and he's hitting like 340 with like 6 bombs in the last 2 weeks, and then that's it. But good.
I just like him too. He's just got a way about. I just like Edmundo Sosa. I just want good things to happen to him.
I agree. Coming in at number 30, maybe the most interesting one on this. We've talked this guy to death at this point, but Nolan Gorman.
I was shocked by this.
Nolan Gorman.
I was shocked that he is that high up
the list. Yeah, above 2 other guys that I thought is interesting. But yeah, Nolan Gorman, this would be a dump deal for sure. But I do think there's probably a bunch of teams that have something to dream on Nolan Gorman and are looking for cheap power. We talked about this year. He improved his walk rate significantly, which is a key ingredient in the stew that is a successful Nolan Gorman. And I think if they do trade him, we all have to be prepared for him to go and hit 33 bombs at wherever he lands, which will be deeply disappointing. But I've come down on, let's roll the dice one more time on Nolan Gorman. Like, I kind of want him to stick with the Cardinals for 2026. I know that aids in the logjam element of it, but if you can solve some of these other pieces, including another guy on this list, that clears up a little bit. And I'm just not, I know, like, this is probably a heart over head thing, because there's enough data out there for us to say it just hasn't worked as a St. Louis Cardinal, and maybe it's time to move on. But I want one more year. I got all this Gourmania cream,
well, that's your own fault. You collect too much cream. But
cream.
I think there's an argument to be made. If Nolan Gorman can start 140 games next year at one position, most likely third base, then I think it makes sense. If you don't have that opportunity for him, maybe first base also. If you don't have that opportunity for him, I don't think it really makes much sense to hold on to him, because he's just going to be blocking somebody else, and he's just going to be in the way a little bit. But I'm fine with that. I also he's $3 million. Who is, no one's going to blow Bloom out of the water for Nolan Gorman, I don't think. So $3 million to run it back and to try to get him in the starting on the infield again, I think that's fine. I'm not. Again, I would be surprised if anyone's making this decision tough for Chaim Bloom.
Yeah. I think your take's probably the right one. Like, either prioritize him finally, which, to be fair to the Cardinals, they tried to do in 2025 and could not solve the Arenado problem. But that was their goal in 2025, was to put him at third all season. It just didn't happen. And then they end up with him and the logjam and all that. So they should avoid that in 2026. Like, either he's a starter or trade him. And that is almost certainly going to be a deal that none of us are excited about. It'll be a Dylan Carlson, Tyler O'Neill type thing where you're just like, all right, you guys have him. We'll take a couple of your, single A players that maybe we can dream on or something.
We talked about it. He put up negative 0.2 F4 this season, and just if, folks out there are curious, Edmundo Sosa put up 1.6.
That would have been a top 5 on the Cardinal offense. So We love
He
that.
did that in about half a season, just so we're tracking Edmundo Sosa still. All right, the two big names, 34 and 35. Probably can guess who these guys are. Nolan Arenado, of course, who's owed $42 million through 2027. And Wilson Contreras, obviously our first baseman, and he has 41.5 through 2027, which is kind of funny that they're right there at the same.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have much else to say about these two guys. I feel like we've talked about them extensively. I do think it makes sense to move them both. Arenado, for obvious reasons. I think Wilson Contreras is going to have a more robust market than being at number 35, just because of everything that he brings, plus really solid first base defense, and he's a right-handed slugger. Like, these are good things. People like those.
I kind of thought Contreras would be higher on here, and I think it's just simply that he's a first baseman and he's 33 years old is probably why he's.
Would a team put him back behind catcher, I wonder?
I would be surprised unless they are desperate for catching help, but maybe depends on the team. But I'd be very surprised if he's doing anything other than playing first and DHing, especially now a full year removed from doing it. I'm sure he would say yes and be able to pick it back up, but I'm pretty sure he's in that point of his career where it's first base DH sort of thing.
What's great, like, I'm just looking at his Savant page right now. He still has elite bat speed. He's still his exit velo numbers, his barrel numbers, his hard hit rate, his sweet spot percentage, his xWOBA, his x batting average, his x slug. All of the numbers under the hood look really good. I know he's 33. The contract isn't that long. I do think he's going to be more attractive than number 35. So we'll see, of course. But I think somebody might lose their shit over the ability to acquire Contreras on a short contract.
Yeah.
You know who needs a first baseman? Well, I guess, is Andrew Vaughn your first baseman of the future for the Brewers? I just thought it might be fun for the Contreras brothers to play together, but maybe they're all on the Vaughn thing.
I think they're going to run it back with Vaughn. He really slowed down in the last month, but he clearly showed a step up from the White Sox, and he was a former top prospect.
My God, yeah.
He's only 27, so I think they're going to run it back with Vaughn. But how about this pipeline? I think the Yankees don't have Goldschmidt anymore, right?
Yeah.
So couldn't you see Contreras going there and bashing and they have Ben
New
Rice.
York would love him.
Yeah, they would. Ben Rice swaps between catcher and first base. Maybe they get a little duo, Contreras and Ben Rice. Although they have Austin Wells catching, and I think they like him. He's got a good mustache also.
He does. Yeah, I could see that. I also could see Goldie says he wants to play again.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll bring Goldie back. He mashed lefties this season, and leadership, stick-to-itiveness, gritty, guttiness, all that good stuff. So we'll see.
The only other note that I had on Arenado is that what the salary that he's owed in 26 is technically $22 million. Because of what the Rockies are paying hilariously.
Right.
I'm sure he's still like in their top 5 most high paid players with that $5 million.
Rockies are dire.
But 22, you don't have to add that much more into that to get that down into like a super reasonable contract. And if any team looks at him and thinks all we need to do is get his elite defense out of him, which I know 2025 was bad. Well, his defense was fine, but his offense cratered. But if someone's just looking for like maybe a $15 million Gold Glove third base, like that's a different market than what I think what a lot of us have been thinking about Arenado as like a nearly $30 million player,
I do think we talked about the park factors in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I do think if you get him into a more friendly offensive environment, he's going to have a better season. I think Busch Stadium is not kind to Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a lot of sense for teams that are pushing in to acquire him. Phillies have been rumored for years. I think Phillies still make a lot of sense. They know what they're getting with him, defense first. They obviously don't love Alec Boehm over there at third base. And I bet you he pokes a couple, I don't know, a half dozen extra homers in that ballpark than he would in Busch Stadium. And they're still in their competitive window. We'll see, you know, are they going to retain Schwarber? They got a lot of other question marks, but, you know, they I guess they could even put Boom at first base and move Harper back to the outfield. There's a lot of questions that they can answer, but I think there's going to be a team out there, but it is going to be a weird deal.
Yeah,
Mo technically almost had it done twice last year and it didn't go through. It's a complicated deal, but I do think it's going to happen this year. I want it to happen this year.
At one way or another, it's going to happen. I'm almost certain of it. This is the one that I do think is most likely to be a dump deal compared to like the Sonny Gray one. But we'll see. All right, so that's everybody on that list. What do you think? All 5 of them, are they all going to be traded this offseason? What's your pick? How many do you think get traded?
Probably not all 5. But I think Nato, Romero, at least at some point, and Donovan are gone for sure.
Sonny Gray gone for sure.
I think Gray, Gorman, and Contreras. You think Sonny Gray for sure?
Yes.
He just has the no trade, so he could say no to anything. Is the only reason I'm not feeling as confident to that. And I really don't understand, like, does he just really like being a Cardinal or does he not like change?
Well, he has changed his story a little bit, saying he's more. Last year, he had a pretty consistent narrative. He'd only been here for 1 year. He signed the 3-year deal. He thinks the Cardinals are going to be better in 2025 than anyone else. You know, the whole narrative in the dugout, which was the right one for the dugout to have, which is we're going to shock the world, you know. And he was the best pitcher on the team and was really pushing that narrative. And I get it. He like with the team changing the narrative, he's already changed it a little bit himself, saying he's open to considering it, you know. So I think as long as it's not like, hey, bud, the White Sox made a pretty compelling offer, which is obviously never going to happen. But as long as it's not something like that, he's going to go, and he'll go pitch for any competing team, I bet.
Yeah. Well, then I guess let's just say I would say Gorman and Contreras are the least likely on the list to move then, from my point of view.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap up with, we wanted to run down some of the key dates to look for here in the offseason, as the offseason sort of is segmented out into different things.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I love baseball so much, is there's just really no time off, which is great because that's what I need.
Yeah.
But the day that this episode comes out, November 6th, Thursday, is the official beginning of free agency. So hopefully we'll have some things. I'm sure we're not going to have any deals tomorrow, but hopefully we have some things to talk about soon. November 11th through the 13th is the GM's meetings. They're happening this year in Las Vegas. November 21st, the non-tender deadline. December 8th through 11th, winter meetings in Florida. Then we have on the 9th, the draft lottery, which the Cardinals have done quite well in so far since the lottery has become a thing. December 10th, the Rule 5 draft, which I think is always fun. Jan 9th, arbitration deadline. And then Jan 15th, international signing period begins. But we are very close to all these meetings and movements start to happening and being able to evaluate off-season plans and all this. And my God, if the Cardinals don't have an active one this year, I don't know what I'm going to do, Nate.
It's got to be. Right?
It's got to be.
It's got to be.
We've been begging. Please. Is this 3 years in a row we've been begging?
Please, Papa Bloom.
Yeah. But
not like that.
Just we'll be here all off season, and we'll have a lot to talk about, I think.
Masnakelak.
John.
Boa Masnakelak.
Yeah. John Python. No, I got nothing.
John, you got it one. What a punch up. Thanks, Ben. Yeah. Writer's Room is proud of that one.
Yep.
John Python. Kind of rhymes. All right. We want to talk a little bit more about the World Series and kind of current state of baseball. We're going to hit with a little bit of league news, and of course, we're going to play a game. But before we do that, we want to remind our listeners that this show is listener supported by people like you. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Patrons of any level get access to our private Discord server. It's called the Bird Scored. Tweet, baby. We're having a good time in there. There's corrections of the show, but there's also it's like the first place you're gonna find news and notes about the Cardinals. We've got a bunch of listeners in there and just big time Cardinal fans, as you would imagine, who are constantly keeping an eye out for news, and it gets posted there like immediately. So it actually, I think, is kind of a service. And then there's some really cool people that are there to chat about that news as it breaks. And since we're both projecting a busy offseason, I think the Bird Scored is going to be busy. We didn't do it last year, Hambone, but the year before we did a Bird Scored movie night. I think we got to do it. I think we got to get that on the books. I don't know if we should watch Deadball again or maybe another horrible B-movie, horror baseball movie or something like that. I think we should get something on the books soon. So if you're in the Bird Scored, keep an eye out for that. If you're not, join. We'll all watch a movie together. It'll be fun. We're all going to Ben's house.
Come on down.
He's got a bunch of king-size candy bars ready for us all.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll save them for the winter.
So patreon.com/talking about birds. We also appreciate anyone and everyone who takes a moment. That's all it takes to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. That stuff really does help. And of course, tell your friends and tell your family. It's a good time to hop on the show. Hambone, where else can people find us?
Yeah, 5 stars only. Remember that. We can't handle less than 5 stars. We are on all the social medias. We got Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. You can listen to this show on Spotify if you prefer to do that. You can watch this show on YouTube.com. We're over there. Look at us. You can check out my new hat. I got a new hat for this episode, Nate.
Yeah.
You can find all of that information, podcast details, T-shirts, our new John Boa Constrictor T-shirt is probably already up there, talkingaboutbirds.com. You can email us questions.
What are the rules on that? Can
anything.
I make a picture? Can I make a shirt of John Mazalek's face and it just says Boa under it?
Why can't you?
I don't know.
Who's going to stop you? You can email us at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And of course, as always, you can call us and leave a voicemail, or you can send us a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737.
The holiday season's coming up. What a perfect gift for your friend or family member.
A confusing sort of baseball referential T-shirt. That's a good idea.
848-48-BIRDS. All right, Hambone, we already really talked about the World Series, but I thought something that was interesting from this. There's a lot of articles out right now about the World Series and the viewership of it.
Wow.
This was the most viewed World Series Game 7 was the most watched World Series game since 1991, which is great. We love to see the growth. I was also kind of surprised that it's been almost 40 years since the game had a game with this amount of viewership. But that's something to unpack. But overall, the reporting right now is this was a super popular World Series. It was watched internationally. One thing obvious because of the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, but also Japan was super locked in because of Ohtani. I also saw one that
Yamamoto and
Sasaki, of course. Yamamoto, man, dude,
unbelievable.
Wild. Yeah. And I saw another list that just for the Cardinal fans out there, I saw a rank of cities in America, or it was just cities and viewership. St. Louis was in the top 5 of viewership for the World Series.
We're a bunch of baseball sickos. Yeah.
Well, that exactly. So I think that's further evidence to we all like to state St. Louis is a big baseball city. Some of that is just self-fulfilling, but I mean, that's crazy. It was Toronto, LA, New York, St. Louis, were some of the biggest cities.
And I'm sure the per capita is probably ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. What percent of the city was watching versus.
Right.
Yeah.
versus New York or anywhere else, really.
Yeah.
I saw Portland was high up there too, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you mentioned you're wearing a Montreal hat. You do wonder even though it was a disappointing ending, what does this do for baseball in Canada? I have some friends who live in Canada, and I reached out to them saying like, "Go Blue Jays," and they're like, "It's crazy here," like like Halloween events, because Game 6 was on Halloween. Like Halloween was basically canceled in Toronto, because everyone wanted to sit home and watch the game. So it's a big deal. So I think it's exciting. We've been talking about this for a while, but baseball will be the last sport to tell you that it's one of the most popular right now. I saw that it's beating NBA in basically every metric right now, which is just not the general vibe of the sports community. NBA feels like the hot shit. Everything's behind NFL, of course, but like NBA feels like the hot shit. And in a lot of ways, because of the celebrity status that NBA is able to create and foster and all that. But MLB's, doing really well right now. And I do think partly it's like Dodgers and World Series. It's a massive market, so baseball's happy about that. But the compelling nature
so is Toronto, and the nation of Canada.
Right. So maybe perfect blend for baseball if it had been.
I also think that baseball having a super team, a big bad, is inherently good for baseball, because even if you're tangentially a baseball fan, you probably don't like the Dodgers because they keep winning and they keep spending money and taking all the players. So you're tuning in just to root for the Blue Jays, whether you care about the Blue Jays or not, just to hope that the Dodgers lose.
Yeah.
So and I think it's all good.
And the Blue Jays
also think that
put up a really good fight. We all know damn near won it, multiple times. Yeah.
I also think that while we have criticized MLB for years and years and years about being good about marketing their stars, like you talk about this series, and a lot of them are on the Dodgers, and Shohei Ohtani is the biggest star in baseball by a large factor right now. But I think Vladimir Guerrero had a bit of I don't know if a coming out party is the right way, but the baseball nation really got to watch him, which I thought was extremely helpful. George Springer doing what he did, fighting through injury, coming back and being effective was really, really exciting. Obviously, Freddie Freeman, everybody likes Freddie Freeman. But it's like the fact that even people like Kike Hernandez, who was on Jimmy Kimmel last night, I think maybe we're starting to cross a bridge where these players are breaking through a little bit more. I know like all of these guys are household names to you and I, and probably the people listening. But I don't know. Maybe we're doing something.
Did you see what I forget what the setup was? The question was to Kike Hernandez, but it's basically like, "What are you gonna do?" And he said, "I can do whatever I want. I'm a 3-time world champion."
Hell yeah, good for you, Kike.
So it's just it seems like a big successful moment for baseball, and that's great.
It is.
It's good.
I have a feeling that it's going to be around for a while.
Yeah, as long as we're going to have plenty of time to talk about this. But there's a looming thing coming up in 2027 that...
have the owners ever been more motivated not to have a work stoppage? They are setting records on viewership, on revenue. The Dodgers made $1 billion this year. We have one of the biggest stars in the history of the game. Man, they really should not swipe the rug out from their own feet to, hide a couple of extra shekels away from these players. They're going to do it. Yeah. My money is they're going to do it, but my God, I don't see how it's a smart business decision.
Yeah. Well, they seem to rarely make the smart decision as far as the health of the game goes. Although, again, we're sitting here talking about how good the game is right now, and they are operating it. So I don't know,
but because of the players, my friend, because we got a great set of players right now.
That's a great point. All right, let's transition this into some other news from around the league.
Speaking of those Blue Jays, Nate, Shane Bieber has surprisingly exercised a $16 million option to remain with the Blue Jays next year, which I absolutely did not think was going to happen.
Yeah.
But that speaks to the thing that's happening in Toronto right now, and he must be excited. But I know for a fact that Shane Bieber could have gotten more money for more years had he sprung into free agency.
Yeah, it sure seems so. I mean, the pedigree, his history, came back
healthy, pitched well.
I'm sure he could have gotten more than $16 million over 1 year. But this could also be like, it could be both things, right? Because maybe what he really wants is a full healthy year to then re-enter the market for like a mega deal, and he wouldn't get a mega deal right now. But if he does have a stellar 2026, you could certainly see him getting a much bigger deal than he'll get this offseason. So why not stay with the team that just went to the World Series, get all the goodwill, and he probably legitimately enjoyed it, and it will be good for him to be there. And also sort of bake in this pillow deal that will set him up for more success next offseason, assuming there is a normal next offseason. It's a win-win, I think, for both sides, which is cool. And I hope he does well.
It's hard to imagine. We'll see what they do with Bo Bichette, but it's hard to imagine the Blue Jays really taking a step back. Maybe they go acquire a pitcher, but the offense is all going to be there, and depending on what happens with Bichette and everyone else is there. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Salvy Perez will remain with the Kansas City Royals for at least another 2 seasons. The Royals announced an extension with the 9-time All-Star that covers the 2026-27 campaigns, reportedly worth a $25 million guarantee. It's Salvy's going to die in a Royals. So it's great to see. Love Salvy Perez, and he's going to stay.
Yeah, good for them. Good for him. He's still out there. He still mashes home runs. He doesn't really do much else. And it's starting to get to the point where those home runs are not quite outweighing the other downsides. For 25 over 2, so $12.5 million, he put up 0.5 WAR in 2025. It is what it is. No fan.
He's always younger than I think he is. He's just been around for so long.
Yeah. And I think he's kind of a variance guy at this point. He might have another 40 home run season. We'll see.
Wouldn't shock me. Yeah.
So it's fine. And I'm sure I don't think any Royals fan is going to be too upset about this.
No.
He's a legend over there.
Yeah, assuming it doesn't stop them from acquiring other better players. Yeah. But hopefully it doesn't. Jack Flaherty will not opt out of his contract with the Tigers. He's going to exercise a $20 million player option and kind of finish out his entire contract with the Motor City Kitties. A little bit surprising, just because if you kind of look at his numbers and you look under the hood, I bet he could have gotten more for longer. Probably. I would think so. He's still relatively young. He's going to be 30 next year. Put up 2.5 WAR for the Tigers. Struck out over 10.5 guys per 9 innings. Didn't walk a ton of people. Like I said, Periffs look good, but he's gonna stick it around. I assume this is kind of Shane Bieber, like he wants to push in and try to win.
Yeah, and 20 is pretty good, right? Like
he'll be fine.
Yeah, he's in such a weird spot with his valuation. I think it's a lot like Shane. Why not? 20 million, not bad. And if he can have a good full season, he could probably beat that on an extension. But if he goes, there's a lot of pitching available right now in this offseason. So,
way to set me up, Nate. Shota Imanaga has become a free agent. According to a report from ESPN's Jesse Rogers, the Cubs declined their 3 years, $57 million club option on Imanaga's services through 2028. And Imanaga subsequently declined his $15 million player option for 2026. So he is on the market. Another pitcher of note who's going to be a free agent this year.
He's good. This was a surprise. I know in the Bird Score, there's some discussion that this is the Cubs getting ahead of a potential work stoppage and trying to get as much money off the books as possible. But we don't know that for sure. But
no,
I was pretty surprised. He's very good. He's getting older. He's had some health issues. But when he pitches, he's very valuable. And so under $20 million a year for him, the Cubs are losing a bunch of talent. They're losing Kyle Tucker. Now they're losing. What is their plan for 26 and beyond? This doesn't bode well if you're a Cubs fan hoping for them to compete.
Also, obviously, Kyle Tucker's going free agency, he's going to make $500 million. They knew that they were going to do this with Shota Imanaga. Why did they not push in harder at the trade deadline? Why did they not treat this season as though it was the season to push in? I think the Cubs are not handling this properly. I'm not saying that you have to pick up the Shota Imanaga contract extension. I'm not sure how much he's going to get since he wasn't fully healthy last year and wasn't as good as he was the year prior. But
still pretty good.
Probably better with Imanaga than they are without.
I am certain he's going to get more than 360. Essentially,
you think so?
I do.
All right. Where I'm coming from is like, who are the Cubs replacing Imanaga with? Because they're not a team that's like tripping over starting pitchers right now by any means.
Yeah. Well, that's my thought too, is like for less than $20 million a year, he put up 3.1 at 4 last, 2024. This year he was injured. I know he's not getting younger, but like a 3-WAR pitcher is certainly more valuable than $18 million or whatever. And then add in
also not a stuff guy
team.
too,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
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 Oh no, the Cubs are making bad decisions.
Yeah. All right. I think you're probably right. It's probably purely money driven, which is whatever. Poor Cubbies.
Yeah.
All right. Final piece of news. The Braves name Walt Weiss as their next manager, which I find funny because he's been in the dugout for like 1,000 years there, and they're consistent.
Look out, Jose Canseco. Walt Weiss is back.
Good reference.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, so we just had 2 hirings of 2 guys we'd never heard of to become managers.
It's nice to have good old Walt Weiss.
You got to get Walt
absolutely.
Weiss back in there.
Yeah.
Now this is a baseball man. You know what I mean?
Rockies legend. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, Nate, that's all I got for league news, my friend.
All right, Hambone, you may have seen going around, there's been some Hall of Fame chatter as, the Modern Era Commission or whatever it's called has released its set of players it's considering, and got me thinking about the Hall of Fame. And I saw this little list come around that I thought was pretty interesting. It's a list of teams and how many players they have in the Hall of Fame, both with wearing a hat with the logo on it and without. Okay. And I'm going to test you on where you think the different teams land in another edition of Who Charted Hall of Fame edition.
Okay.
So I want to start just by asking, based off of Cardinals, like people in the Hall of Fame wearing a Cardinal hat, how many do you think there are? This is a tough question. I tried to.
Yeah, I think La Russa, Ozzie, Stan, Slaughter, Gibby, Suter. Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm forgetting so many players right now.
This is hard, and if anybody's listening, like, I would challenge you to think about it critically, what you could do without having thought of what Ben's already listed a bunch of them. But there's some old timers in there too that are hard to think of.
Yeah.
There's one more recent guy that you haven't named.
Oh, Lou Brock. Oh, jeez. The catcher with the good hair.
The catcher with the
Simba.
So
okay.
All right.
So that's
I'll let you keep cooking.
I've named 8, I think. I'm gonna say, and I just don't want to make people listen to me think more. So I'm gonna say there are 11.
You are so close. There are 12. I don't actually have the whole list in front of me. I think probably some of the tricky thing is some of these guys are in there, but not necessarily wearing a Cardinal hat also. But there are 12 total Cardinals in the Hall of Fame wearing the hat. And that puts them at the 10th highest team in baseball as far as players with hats of their logo on it. Who do you think the top 5 teams are?
Yankees for sure. Yankees are number one with a bullet.
Yankees are number one, although it's narrowly edging out one other team.
Really? I kind of want to say Reds, but also could be Boston. Boston makes a lot of sense. Let's go with Boston.
No, Boston is 8th with 13, only one more than the St. Louis Cardinals.
Give me Reds then.
No, Reds are 13th.
Really?
With 10. Less than the Cardinals.
Wow.
In a moment, I'll go over how many players they have in the Hall of Fame, like people who played for the team, and that's kind of a different list.
Yeah.
But they are 10. They are 13th with 10 total.
Okay, give me Phillies.
No, the Phillies are 16th with 7.
Man, I suck at this. Detroit Tigers, they've got to beat the Tigers. They've got a long storied history.
Tigers are 9th with 13. There's a bunch of teams tied for 13 with 13. I'm going to give you a few more guesses, and I'm just going to go down the list.
Yeah, this sucks. I hate this. Doyers, give me the Dodgers.
The Dodgers are 3rd with 16.
3rd. Okay. Oh shoot, I probably should have said this earlier. Giants.
The Giants are number 2, and they are the ones right behind the
yeah, that just clicked me as soon as I said Dodgers. I was like, oh yeah, the Giants have a pretty good history too.
Yeah, the Giants are a good one. So that they are 23rd. Or I'm sorry, they are 2nd with 23, 1 behind the Yankees.
Right. Okay.
I'll just finish it up for you. 4th is Cleveland Guardians. And
wow, I was not going to guess that. That's amazing.
And 5th is Chicago Cubs.
Cubs were they were I should have said them too.
The teams with the least, kind of not surprising. Tampa Bay Rays are the worst.
Yep,
they have 0.
They have I guess Wade Button. Never mind.
Not wearing the hat.
That makes sense.
They have 2 who have played for them.
Right.
Miami Marlins also 0. Diamondbacks 1. Royals 1. Blue Jays 1, and Los Angeles Angels 1.
Diamondback, is that Johnson?
Yeah, he was wearing a Diamondbacks hat, wasn't he?
He went to I don't think I knew.
I don't know. We can look that up, but that's my first thought too.
It's fine.
Now, if you just go off of players, it's players without cap, the Cardinals actually have the most in that category, which is 43.
Huh.
Now
most Hall of Famers have played for the Cardinals.
Yeah, although it's not exactly the right math there because there's 2 columns. It's with cap and without cap. So you add those together to get their total amount of Hall of Fame players.
Sure.
And that's going to still be the Yankees at 64 total.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But the Cardinals are at 55 total, with 12 of them wearing a hat and 43 of them not.
Interesting.
And we know we're going to get at least one more,
2.
Probably 2.
2. We're going to get 2 more.
I agree. Just some people think Pujols might feel some deference to the Angels or something and do no hat or something, or do no logo. But
we're about to get 2 more. I promise you.
I think so too. But I just thought this was interesting, and it's a good time. The Cardinals have had a Hall of Famer on the team. I saw this stat going around too. I think it's 90% of seasons the Cardinals have had a Hall of Fame player on them.
That's good.
And we also, I think, still believe Arenado will be a Hall of Famer. And so that is still active. With him likely being gone, it is an open question again. We won't know. Technically, Winn is maybe on a
sure,
but that is putting a lot on a young guy, But from
we are at least 15 years ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
there.
But from a WAR accrual, he's so young, is already acquired several.
I said he was been more productive than Yadier Molina.
Yeah,
to start his career.
Yeah, so
we'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, so that's gonna do it. Thank you everybody for listening. Hopefully we have some transactions next week.
Oh my God, please.
I think we'll see what it looks like. But we're about to be in transaction time, which is going to be fun, and we'll really start to see what this team is going to look like and what Chaim Bloom has in store for the Cardinals. But I'm excited. Said it earlier.
Yes, sir.
No, the past is the past. It doesn't matter. It's in the past. Hakuna Matata, Hambone. We're going into 2026, and I'm excited about the Cardinals. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. We'll be back next week if Ben survives eating all the candy bars he has stocked in his house. And until next week, go Cardinals. Let's go.